My name is Officer with the Toronto Police Service, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. We talk about traffic and police stuff for an hour. So if you've got questions, we've got answers. That's what we do here. We do the... Somebody keeps trying to send me a picture. Why are we sending pictures to me? Somebody's trying to airdrop me. Don't airdrop me, please. The phones are busy doing stuff. Anyway, what are we doing? We are seeing TikTok lag. We'll have to survive with it. If you don't know who I am, I just said who I am. I'm Sean Shapiro. And if you've got questions, drop it into the Q&A section on TikTok or on Instagram, because that's where I see your questions. There's a ton of action that's going to be in the chat, but I tend not to have enough time to spend time in the chat. So if you've got questions, throw them in the Q&A. If you are on the other platforms, and we are on other platforms, so we have YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, those are platforms. Just use the chat, drop questions there, and yeah, it should be working. We'll probably see what you say. In any case, let's get the show on the road. I've said like 3 times already. Actually, it was before I hit go live. Anyway, let's see what's happening. We've got questions already into the Q&A. Oh, and actually, I have to step back for a second. If you didn't know, today is Holocaust Remembrance Day. And just to take a moment, and we'll take a moment later on as well, to remember those that lost their lives as a result of the Holocaust and the actions of horrible people, and not a people that still exist, but the people back then. It really it struck me funny this morning. Maybe funny is not the right word. It hit a chord. I got emotional thinking about family and friends, and it's such a tremendous loss for humanity. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on it, but it is something that's on my mind today. I am Jewish. I have family that was killed in the Holocaust. I have friends that, have survivors, have lost many family. You can't not be in the Jewish community and not be affected by the Holocaust. So that's it. My focus may be less so today, because I'm in my mind I'm doing that whole we remember thing, because it's important. Okay, going back to traffic and stuff. A lot of questions asking what I think of the convoy. Hopefully it doesn't create a lot of traffic. I don't have any personal opinion on the convoy. I'm not following it in the news, but I hope it doesn't negatively affect traffic for those folks who need to get to where they're going. I appreciate people want to have their say, but sometimes these things shut down cities, and I hope that's not the case. Good morning, Sean Chen, coming in from YouTube. So, boy, a lot of people want to know about this convoy business. Yeah, I'm not following it. Amazingly, I am so busy on TikTok that I have no time for real news. I don't follow it. I know they're coming through the Toronto area today, but beyond that, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Do speed limits on curves actually get enforced? Now, what do you mean on curves? Roads have a speed limit, and the speed limit is the same speed limit for the entire road. If you mean the cautionary signs for curves, those are cautionary. They're to tell you how to stay on the road without crashing, but they aren't enforceable speeds. If they aren't white signs, they're not enforceable. We got Ryder saying hello. Okay. Someone wants to know if I'm going to arrest the convoy. I don't know anything about any plans to even have them in the city of Toronto, so I don't know. I don't think there's any plan for that, but the people who are on the ground will make calls as needed. Requirements for kids on the back of motorbikes. Okay, this is a great question. We haven't talked about it in a long time because it's not really riding season, but I'm happy to talk about it because motorbikes are my thing. What's the deal? If you are going to have a passenger on a motorcycle, they have to be able to touch the pegs. Obviously, they have to have a proper approved helmet that fits them, but they have to be able to touch the rear pegs. This is on a motorcycle that's designed for 2 people. And if they can touch the pegs, that's fine. They're good to go. There's no other requirements. If they can't touch the pegs, they either cannot ride, or you need to get adapter pegs that would raise it so that they can touch the pegs. I've seen that for Gold Wings and things like that. So there are options available. Sean wants to know if these are different glasses. These are different glasses. These are my reading glasses. And actually, with that, I want to bring this screen closer so I can. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually be in focus. So I wanted to be able to read the super tiny print on these iPhones, so I'm wearing reading glasses. But now the whole other screen, the giant screen behind the little screens, is less focusy. Okay. What happens if you're underage and driving? Well, you're breaking the law. You can't drive on the road without a driver's license. And if you do, you can be charged for driving without a license. Also, you're not covered by any insurance. So you're going to get charged. You're not going to be driving anywhere. And that's pretty much it. there could be more to it. There could be other reasons why you're pulled over without a license, and you'd be responsible for that as well. Philster wants to know about convoy. We've covered that, so I'm not going to do that. Just so everyone knows, I don't answer questions in chat. I very rarely get to see what's being said in chat, but thankfully I have a magical band of moderators who are on all the platforms. And what do? Well, they read the chat and respond. So if you ask a question in the chat, it'll be responded to in the chat. If you ask it in the Q&A function on Instagram Live or on TikTok, that's where I'll get to see it. And I'll do my best to get through it in the hour that we have to us. 55 minutes left. I feel the pressure. No, I can talk today. Q and I have been chatting about the fact that I've been not mincing words, stumbling on certain words, and it is a contagious thing. So she's been stumbling on words as a result. Can we drive with a copy of a driver's license? No. In Ontario, the only portion of a driver, or the only driver's license, is the plastic driver's license, at least for the moment. There is talk underway to create an electronic copy. In fact, they had originally said they were going to have it done by the end of last year. Of course, that was delayed, but we hope to have that soon. Now, the deal is that if you don't have the original, you can be charged for an offense. It's $110 for failing to surrender a driver's license. I did happen to see the radio pop up. So am I on the radio as well? Not this morning, no. Although we do frequent Newstalk 1010 on the Jerry Agar show, and we actually join our TikTok live stream with his radio stream. And he comes on our show, we go on his show, we get phone-in callers. It's really cool. So yeah, back to the license. Can't drive with a copy. Must have your original, or you can get a ticket. Your ownership, your motor vehicle permit, you can have a photocopy, but it must be a true copy, which means both sides, and it has to be of a valid copy. You can't validate a photocopy. You have to have a photocopy of a valid, good to go copy. Additionally, you can now have electronic copies of the insurance documents. Now that's not a photo of. You must have an electronic version supplied by your insurance provider. C. Page wants to say that driving under the influence of drugs, I encounter many of them while on duty. Yeah. So the question is related to impaired operation, whether it be impaired by drug or impaired by alcohol. It's both impaired. Both result in charges and suspensions, and the charges are criminal. It's not just a ticket. It is a criminal offense. Change your life forever. Take all your money trying to defend it, because these are serious offenses, and the most litigated in, I think, amongst the entire highway traffic, or not highway traffic act, but criminal code. Courts are busy, and lots of lawyers in the business of impaired driving defense. Okay. Alan coming in from Twitch. Good morning. He is sending messages of good morning to moderators and myself. This day, what is this? One more day till the weekend. Yes, celebrations are forthcoming. Tomorrow is Friday. There's nothing bad about Friday. It's the end of the week, the beginning of a wonderful weekend where I will get no sleep regardless of not being at work. But you know what? I'm not complaining. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to this live, my name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where you get to ask your traffic and police questions for an hour on social media. It's a wonderful thing. If you got questions, throw them in the Q&A. If you're on Instagram Live or you are on TikTok, and we will get to you. At least we'll do our best to, because we only have till 10 o'clock. But if you're on the other platforms, throw them in the chat into the comment section. They will come forward and be shown. Okay. How long do you have to wait to go for your G2? If you have a professional instruction, you have a approved driving course, it's 8 months. If you don't, it's 12 months. Don't be in a rush. I mean, 8 months is a long time too. So if you're making effective use of your time and you're getting instruction, you're going to be ready for it. Okay. Just going through and finding the questions. What is this? Park? Oh, okay. Question about parking. Can you park sideways on the edge of the roadway or edge of your driveway that is beyond? It's a question many people want to know the answer to. And technically, it's illegal. That's not your driveway. That is part of the boulevard that has a chute to get onto your property, and technically, it's illegal. That being said, it's my understanding that unless someone is making a complaint, no one's really going to enforce it. It's not one of those things that they actively enforce. So if you are finding it being enforced, thank one of your neighbors. They're probably the ones complaining.
I have one.
Go for it.
For a medical suspension, is it the same if with a regular suspension of driver's license?
Is it the same? Well, the reasons for the suspension are different, and to be reinstated are different. And whether or not your car is going to be impounded for driving while under suspension is different. But at the end of the day, if you are not allowed to drive, it's still a medical suspension, and it's still a suspension, and of course you cannot drive. Let's see here. Anuska Luca, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but Anuska, that I got, says, "Hey, buddy, I noticed one of the cars down my road had been clamped without formally having notice. Are you, as a traffic cop, legally allowed to clamp without warning?" Now, here's the answer to that. As a Canadian traffic cop, we don't clamp cars. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say Canadian. As an Ontarian, we don't do that in Ontario. We don't put boots on cars or lock out wheels. So I don't know what that is or where you are. Actually, where are you? That's a good question. Because I know that a lot of American cities put clamps on vehicles for parking offenses. So you can't leave. You can't drive your car. It's got this big old thing. I was watching some show, Parking Wars. Yeah. Oh, Pepe Pat says, "Tell Paulo, now I know who you are. Tell Paulo I say hello." Did you get the picture he sent you? Is that are you the same person? I assume you are, but I will definitely send your regards to Paulo. Let's see here. See, now it all comes together. I was down in the CIB today, our detective office, and my buddy Paulo was saying, "My buddy watches you online." Now I know who the buddy is. Okay. Oh, you're in New York City. Well, hello to New York City, my favorite city outside of Canada. I used to frequent New York for the September 11th Memorial. Not the happiest of occasions, but it is one that I'm very passionate about. Coming down to New York and spending time to remember the fallen. And I love your city. So I'm sorry about your boot situation. I don't have any information for you though. But call the traffic unit. They are a bunch of people and have always been very good to me when I've been around in terms of being friendly. I hope they're friendly to you too. Okay. Is there any consequences for repeat tint pullover? Yes. Depends on what part of the tint problem there is. So if you have reflective tint, if your tint is on your windshield, if your tint is obstructing your ability to see outward, it can consider or make your vehicle considered to be dangerous. We can actually pull your license plates. Maybe they wouldn't do that the first time you got the ticket, but they could, and frankly they should. If it's truly a danger, then they should just pull your plates, and requiring you to then get a tow truck to get home. Now you can pull your tint off while you're there and resolve that issue. But, well, if you can. I've seen people do it. You know, it is what it is. In terms of obscuring the interior of your vehicle, any HTA offense, any Highway Traffic Act offense, it can be escalated. So we can give you a ticket that gives you an option to pay, or we can take care of the situation because of a pattern of behavior. You're not getting the hint. You're not changing your way. So we see 2 or 3 tickets. Maybe we're going to give you a Part 3 summons. That makes you go directly to court. And Sergeant Campbell just joined us. How you doing, Sarge?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. We're just talking about, are there any consequences for repeat tint pullovers? And we discussed the fact that if it's obscuring your vision, if it's making it difficult for a driver to be safe, you might lose your license plates. But also, if an officer decided not to pull your plates and it was just obscuring the interior, repeated offense, a pattern of behavior, continuously breaking the same rule, I was suggesting that a Part 3 summons might be the course of action to have you go before a court and not just have an option to pay, but actually articulate to a court why you don't want to follow the rules.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. Actually, most set fines or most offenses within the Highway Traffic Act have a minimum and a maximum. The set fine is usually the minimum. And if it was to go to court, it would be incumbent upon the driver to explain to the Justice of Peace why you've been stopped so many times, why you continue to do this behavior, and why you shouldn't be subject to increased penalty.
Because it's the set fine on the ticket is just if you decide to pay it, and they could certainly go higher if you go to court.
Yeah, and you know what? There may be justified reasons why somebody hasn't done something, but they would have to explain to the Justice of the Peace why that is, and they'd have to have good evidence of why.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give the heads up. There's probably no good evidence as to why you should have and not follow the law. The laws are there for a reason. I know nobody likes to hear it, but they're there to protect people and keep everybody doing the appropriate thing.
And safe.
A lot of people didn't like that loop I put out last night. There were some people who were really upset. I did a loop about talking about people saying it's a cash grab, saying it's a what I say was it was a cash grab. It was government control and something else that already. What was the other thing? I don't remember what the other thing is. Anyway,
Is that about
quotas.
writing tickets?
Quotas, yes, all about tickets. So some folks didn't like that. In any case,
What about our video about Bell Let's Talk?
that got some positive stuff.
That's excellent. You know what? If you ever want to see the administrative staff at people that work here at Traffic Services, that's a great.
You can meet everybody.
You can see everybody and actually see their face and see who's doing what around here. And
Yeah.
it even has me on it.
Yeah, oh yes, and that was possibly my favorite portion of the clip. Yeah, that it didn't go bananas. It has about 5,500, just over 5,500 views, about 334 likes. Hey, if you want to see our Bell Let's Talk video, I think it was moving. I was impressed. We had fun. Bell Let's Talk. We talked about it on the show yesterday. We see a lot of stuff. We see a lot of we see people at their worst, and not from their worst because they made a mistake and they're being arrested. They're worst because they're injured. Someone they care about is injured, or worse, has died. We're involved with collision investigation, and with that often comes tragedy or reporting on tragedy. And I say reporting not to the news, but actually doing the reports. We have officers who photograph scenes for serious collisions. I used to be one of them, and one of those things is bodies. We photograph people who have died in conjunction, and sometimes in a messy way. So Bell Let's Talk is something that's really important. And I know it was yesterday, but talking about feelings, talking about what's going on in your life, whether it's to a professional or to a friend, talking is a big deal. And I get to talk to you guys every day, so I feel great. Okay. Someone wants to know, can you clarify the U-turn laws in Ontario? Well, simply, U-turns are legal unless signed otherwise, except for a few very specific locations. For instance, you cannot do a U-turn at a crest of grade. You cannot do a U-turn on a curve because visibility. You can't do a U-turn approaching I think 30 meters of a railway crossing. You can't do it in front of a bridge, a tunnel, a viaduct. I'm sure there's a couple more. So, it has to be safe to do so. And if it's not, it's illegal. And you're obviously going to be responsible for anything you do in conjunction with your U-turn maneuver. So I hope that helps. If you do see a sign that says no U-turn, it's 150 meters from that sign where you can. I see Q just put it on screen. I had it. I had it, Q. You got 150 meters where you can't do that U-turn. And then afterwards, you're good. Q was worried I was going to forget the 150 meter mark. Okay. Can I get a ticket passing in the left lane at 100 kilometers an hour? This is from Jeff coming in. And so let's paint the picture. You're in a multi-lane highway. So you have lane 1, 2, 3 in one direction. The leftmost lane is what's considered the passing lane, assuming you're not in traffic. And lane 2 and 3 are for slower moving traffic. So the question is, can I get a ticket passing in the left lane at 100 kilometers an hour? Well, you're never allowed to go over 100 kilometers an hour. So you shouldn't be getting a ticket for passing in the left lane, doing 100 kilometers an hour. I can't imagine why you would. Now, I've heard of other police services ticketing people for driving at 100 in the left lane, blocking people who are speeding. I have an issue with that because I don't think that's appropriate. But at the same time, you should only be in that left lane while you're actively passing. Would you add anything to that? Because there's police, fire, and ambulance and things like that. Like they can go over the speed limit.
Yeah, they certainly can. And when we're trying to get there, it's normal for us to try and travel in the left lane so that people know that we may be coming up behind them. It's tougher to drive very fast in any other lane because they don't know where to expect faster moving vehicles.
Absolutely.
And as far as passing, on a multi-lane highway, you can pass on the right. There's nothing wrong with it.
As long as it's safe to do so.
And as long as it's not off the roadway.
Yes.
So there are certain exceptions for passing off the roadway to the right, but those don't cover multi-lane highways. You can't travel across the non-traveled portion of the roadway. So on-ramps, off-ramps, where the lines come out and...
Oh, you mean where people used to bypass and jump in front of traffic in the most dangerous of ways?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm familiar with those. I've seen that happen.
And you know what? It actually slows down everybody because you get out of line, you move up 6 or 7 spaces, and then you have to merge back in again. So everybody behind you has to hammer on the brakes because
Yeah.
you're trying to get back.
It also creates anger and frustration, which leads to road rage, and bad things happen when, we just need to find a way to get along. If you are new to the page, if you're new to the live, my name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and we are joined by Sergeant Campbell. He is visiting us, and he does it on a regular basis because he is the pound sergeant. We're in the same general area, but he knows lots of stuff, so gets into these conversations, and we go down some rabbit holes on occasion, but it's good stuff. We have a lot of fun, and we're glad to have him joining us today. If you have questions for either of us, drop them in the Q&A, not the chat. If you ask it in the chat, you're going to get a response from a moderator, not me, or not us. But let's keep going. How to know where your car is if it gets towed? That's a great question. You can call our parking enforcement office if we are the ones who towed it. But you can call the police, and we will be able to search because any impounded vehicle would be listed in our system. Actually, you could speak to that better than I can.
Well, we're very lucky in the city of Toronto that we have 3 contracted tow providers that tow on behalf of Toronto Police. So if your vehicle was towed by a parking enforcement officer, a municipal law enforcement officer, or a police officer, we will have a record of where it is and where it went to and what time it was towed. Just because you come out and you find your car not there doesn't mean that it was stolen. So
yes,
the regular non-emergency number for Toronto Police, 416-808-2222. Sometimes you have to wait on hold a little bit, but you will get through and they'll be able to tell if your vehicle was towed or not. On the provincial highways or outside of the city of Toronto proper, you'd have to check with the police of that jurisdiction. There are tow companies that work on behalf of other municipal police services or the OPP. And there are other independent ones that are also used as long as they're outside of the new designated
So
tow zone.
it's a little more complicated, but at the same time, call your local police if your vehicle is not there. Before you jump to the conclusion that it's stolen, it may have just been relocated. So sometimes for snow removal or for special events, we relocate. We just tow it to the next street over. In any case, when you call, you will have at least a better understanding of where it is, because if we don't know where it is, then you should worry. I'm just going to put this code on screen for anyone who is watching on Instagram or on TikTok. You can take a screen grab, and that will take you to a SurveyMonkey survey. If you're willing to do a quick 2-minute survey, we'd really appreciate it. We want to know what you want from us. I mean, besides answering questions, could we be doing something better? Whenever you think of what we're doing, we want to hear. It also gives you an opportunity to tell us where you're from, generally, not your address, just are you GTA, around province, Manitoba, where? And not specific, but just inside Ontario or outside of Ontario. Because the powers that be want to know what we're doing and who we're affecting and who we're helping and so on. So if you can do that, it's great. We're going to post a link on our Twitter account after the show as well. So if you didn't get the screen grab, please grab it there. We'd really appreciate it. Just a reminder, we do this every day, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we answer your questions so that you can make educated decisions. Now, what does that mean? I know that not everybody is going to do everything I say. I have no, illusions of grandeur that because I say something is dangerous or illegal, that you will listen and just do it. But at least you'll understand what the rules are. And if you happen to get pulled over and charged, you won't be like, really? I got charged for this won't be a shock. You can make educated decisions. And that's at the end of the day, what we want you to do. Obviously, we want you to follow the law, but at very least, you'll have the information to know what the law is, and you can make your decisions. And you win the prize if you choose to do something that's against the law. Then it's on you. But you'll know stuff. Okay, is it here, fines for people who don't clean off the snow on their car? So there's a couple ways to go, and some that are different people have different opinions on. But let's start with, if you don't clear your windshield, you have an obstructed view. So you chisel out, it's a snowy, icy day, you've got that 3 inches of ice, and you're late for work, so you only do that little window, just so you can, it's like a tank, you're like the tank gunner, you can see that much. That is going to be an obstruction. Anywhere the windshield wipers goes has to be clear. Anywhere the path of travel for a windshield wiper. And frankly, it's crazy to drive with that little window, because at any moment as your vehicle gets hot, that ice can move and you would be driving blind at that point. Incredibly dangerous. So what can I tell you? That would be a $110 fine right off the bat. Plus, you're going to be told, clean your snow. And you're not going anywhere until it's done, because you get a direction from a police officer, and not following the direction of a police officer comes with fines as well. So what's next? The snow that's all over your vehicle. Well, you have to have at least one clear view to the rear. And that is generally by way of mirror. So if all of your mirrors are caked with snow, all of your mirrors are caked with ice, and you can't see out your rear window, well, that's another obstruction and another ticket. It's not one ticket for your whole car. Front is one ticket, rear is one ticket. Now, what about the snow all over your vehicle? And this is where it gets to be interesting. Insecure load is one that I think would be appropriate. Others will tell you different. Well, here's the joy of it. It'll be up to the courts to decide at the end of the day. Charging you for insecure load, regardless of the fact that the sky put the snow on the car, you're responsible for clearing that off, because as you drive and everything blows off your vehicle, it can obstruct the vision of others. It could fly off and injure, damage, or otherwise blind other drivers. It's serious. It's not just let the wind, blow your loose snow. Would you add anything to that?
No, I absolutely agree. And sometimes it's not just snow, but it could be ice and chunks of ice that are coming off. And should one of those go through a windshield, then we have a bigger problem there.
Yeah, and something else, you may clear your window perfectly, like absolutely not a speck of ice or snow. But as you drive, and we talk about that heating up, and you get this little barrier of water forming on the roof of your car underneath your big snowfall, and that you create a little layer. And as that continues to build, eventually you, for lack of a better term, lubricate and create this nice opportunity for everything on the roof of your car to slide over your windshield at your next stop, blinding you again. So it's for your benefit. It's for your benefit as much as it is for anybody else on the road. So please clear your snow. And that would be 110. So front window, 110. Rear window, view to the back, 110. And for insecure load, 110. You're looking at potentially
Sides as well.
Sides
it's
as well.
$110 fine for not having a clear view to the side.
Oh, there you go. So we're looking at $440 potential if you decided to drive like a snowball on the road. That is not that. I've never even thought about the math on this before, but that's a lot of money. I don't think there's no intention to go out and try and find a way to charge you for the most amount of money. That's not a goal. The goal is to keep you safe. And truthfully, and I said it in that loop video I put up yesterday, I don't want to write any tickets. Don't give me a reason, because you give me a reason, I'm going to write it. It's just the way I'm wired. But if you take care of the issues, they aren't issues, and then you're safe, ticket-free, everybody's happy. Question from Still Winning says, I thought U-turns at intersections were not allowed unless signed. So U-turns at intersections in the intersection, I don't think they're not default as not permitted. There are signs that specifically permit it so that you know, but I don't think there's no intersections in particular aren't.
No, you can make changes in direction in an intersection as long as it's safe to do so. Like a left turn, a U-turn is very close to a left turn.
Just keeps going.
You cannot do it on a red light. You can't enter an intersection on a red light, and you can't do it when it's not safe.
So there you go. So effectively, you can do it anywhere except the places that we talked about earlier, which I don't want to repeat again because it was a tongue twister. But if there's a sign, if it's unsafe, and many people ask the question, we've done a couple of videos about this, on a red light. You cannot enter an intersection on a red light. I do not understand how this is something that is a question. How people think it's safe to make a U-turn while the light is red. That would be an offense. Either proceed before green if you had been stopped and waiting, or fail to stop if you never stopped.
Yeah, there's only one exception for entering an intersection on a red light, and that's to safely make a right turn.
Right. When
That
it's
is
safe
the
to
only
do so.
one.
Okay, let's see here. Questions about the convoy. We're not really talking about the convoy. It's not even entering in Toronto. We don't have any particular personal feelings on it that I'm aware of. I certainly don't. I'm not watching it.
It will be coming through Toronto.
I thought it was just on the highway, just passing through.
No, it will be. It will be on the 401. Will be on the 400 series highways.
Is that count as Toronto?
Well, yeah, it does, because we all use those highways.
This is true.
To get home.
This is true.
So,
laws on modified cars and underglow. Well, modified cars is a very open-ended question, and we don't have time for that because we could probably spend the next half an hour talking about modified cars. The fact is, if you modify a car with something that is illegal, that's an illegal modification. So if it's too low, too high, too wide, those are all potentials. Too dark, too bright. These are anything that isn't safe. Isn't going to be. People say, well, what is it unsafe to go too wide? Well, you create rooster tails, and now you're blasting water and crap from the road up in everybody else's windshield. So that's a safety issue for others as well. There's tons of different things. Underglow is not specifically listed as an illegal thing. You can put underglow. We suggest you use it off-road only. The bulbs can't be visible. They must only glow or shine light down. If it shines light to the sides, you could get tickets for improper headlights, taillights, or otherwise. There's certain colors that are not permitted. Blinking or flashing lights are not permitted, especially in the colors of red, blue, green, things like that, confused with snowplows, police, or volunteer fire. So there's a bunch of rules. Use caution And like I said, preferably use it on private property only. Is it legal for a cop to smoke on duty? I'll let the sergeant, the supervisor in the chair next to me, answer that one.
Is it legal to do it? Yes, it is. Not in the public view, though. That's a Toronto Police rule.
So it's legal, but it's just not permitted it's not against the law. It's just against the rules.
Right. So if there's private areas, we can't do it on the police facility. Smoke-free Ontario says that. We can't do it within 9 meters of an entrance or exit. And we can't do it in the public view. It just makes it professional.
I got a question coming in, and it's all about professional. We want to walk the walk, talk the talk. We want to look the part, crisp and neat and tidy. These are all things that are important. You have to shave appropriately. If you have a beard, you have to maintain it within a certain regulation. You can't be scruffy. Okay, here's something from Brolini. Okay. Okay, ready for this one? I need your clarification. Okay, so let's see what they said. I'm going to put it on screen for those that are watching on YouTube and other horizontal-based systems. I have to come up with a name for this. Vertical is Instagram and TikTok, and everything else is horizontal. We're in the landscape mode now. So Brolini says, so I did my G-test, and the highway here is only one lane each way. There was 2 people with their 4-ways on, a little on the shoulder, but also a little on the road. I moved over a little and gave them space. The instructor then reamed me out and said it was, what did they say? Said it was what? It says ... Oh, okay, I can't, it's too many.
It said that it was illegal to give them space and I could get fined for not maintaining my lane. Thoughts?
So there's actually something called the slow down, move over rule, which applies to police, fire, ambulance, and tow trucks, which would tell you to do exactly that, which you did, which is slow down and move over to give them space. So the fact that it wasn't a police vehicle, or if you didn't move over, I imagine you would have hit them. So I don't understand. Maybe there's something we're missing.
There's more to that, I think. Were they moving at the time? Were they stopped? Had they come to a complete stop? Were they? Was it because of weather that they were not maintaining their lane? A whole bunch of unknowns there that you'd have to know. The driving instructor, though, would have the whole scenario, would understand the whole scenario. And
so, but just with what little we have, that there was somebody half on the road, half on the side. I'm assuming they were not moving; they had their hazards on, and you gave them room. Seems reasonable to me based on the information provided. If there's more to it, it may change our answer. But with what you've told us, I think it sounds very reasonable. They were stopped. Brolini confirms and says they were stopped. So I don't know the width of the roadway, how much room you needed. If they felt there was enough room, you didn't have to go into oncoming traffic. Maybe they. But again, just with what you've told us, I think it sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and I always move over when there's stopped vehicles. Doesn't matter what it is. There could be hazards coming.
For sure, you don't know what they're going to do.
Chasing their dog. Somebody's child is outside of the car. You know what? Slow down, move over, give them space. And everybody's safe.
It's the right thing to do regardless of the fact that there's no specific law telling you to do it for civilian cars. The truth is, if you have to do it, you can be charged for doing it for emergency vehicles. It makes sense that there's a good reason, and if somebody is in a civilian vehicle, just do them the favor of saving their life from you. It's for safety. Liberals International says, it is advisable to rebroadcast this video so that everybody can watch. Well, you know what? This video you're watching on Facebook right now is actually being broadcast, simulcast even, on it's on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. It's on Instagram and TikTok. So we've covered everywhere, and it lives on forever for replay on all those platforms. But it's easy to find based on date and time. YouTube, just check our channel, and we have playlists, and we do an hour a day. You could spend days, months, or years in here rewatching, and our algorithm would appreciate it. Hey, if you're new to the channel, this is Ask a Traffic Cop, and I am Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada, answering your traffic and police questions every day, Monday to Friday. I say every day, then I say Monday to Friday, so it's not really every day. It's Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and joining me right now is Sergeant Murray Campbell. He is the Pound Sergeant, a traffic sergeant. He's a sergeant for all occasions?
Our MTO liaison officer, our construction liaison officer, supervisor, and I dabble a little bit in the media as well. So
this is true. You're a media officer too. You see him on the news. What Q do people want to know about tint? 4 people asking about tint laws. We're doing the mime thing today. It's text only. Okay, here's the deal with tint. You in Ontario, the law says thou shall not. It actually doesn't read that way, but it should. You can't tint your front windshield at all whatsoever. Well, whatsoever, and then I'm going to say the whatsoever. If your vehicle was manufactured before 2017, which means 2016 or older, you can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter, for those in metric, tint strip or sun strip or whatever you want to call brow across the top of the window. Q used to put her phone like this to say brow. And the deal is that why did it change? My understanding is sensors or a way of grandfathering all previously issued vehicles. I don't know what the actual motivation is. People have told me it's sensors on newer vehicles for some reason or another. And anyway, it's illegal now, and it was only legal before. Nothing on the windshield. You may have seen a recent video that we have posted about red devil or demon tint across the entire windshield. That is unsafe. You can have your license plates pulled for that. Now, when you talk about the windows directly left and right of the driver, you can have tint there, but there are limits. You can have up to 30% light blockage, meaning 70%. Is it luminescence? Luminance? I don't know the word. You could have to let 70% of the light through, 30% light blockage maximum. So if you're putting reflective tint there, that's immediately illegal. If you have darker tint than that, it won't be safetied. That's a mechanic can't issue a safety for a vehicle that has tint that's darker. They even have tint meters. Now, the windows directly behind, from the rear passenger all the way to the back of the vehicle, including the rear window, you can go as dark as you like on those. Those can have privacy tint. You could paint that with black paint. They aren't required. The only caveat is that you must have a view to the rear. You have to have at least one mirror that is functioning. So if your rear window is black, then your mirror stuck to your windshield, no good. It doesn't do anything. So your side mirrors must be working, one or the other. That's the deal. Now, what about charges from police? Are there other ones? Well, of course there are. There's always more. There's always more. Look through door number 2. So door number 1, that's for safety. That's for being on the road safe. Could you be charged if you have windshield tint? Yes, for obstructing the view of the driver, whether it be to the side or to the front. And you have to have those mirrors. Now, when it comes to police, and another charge called obscuring the interior of your vehicle with colored or reflective tint. So if you put tint on the windshield or on the windows directly left and right of the driver that prevent people from seeing or identifying or seeing inside your vehicle, that's against the law. It's a $110 fine. And why? Well, Sarge, I'll let you answer. Why is it illegal to prevent us from seeing inside the car?
Well, because that's what we do. We investigate people. We actually look in the car. We make sure you're wearing your seatbelt. We want to make sure that you're sober, not sitting in there having a drink. We want to make sure that you're properly licensed. We want to make sure that everybody is safe in there. Additionally, if you become involved in a collision and you make the terrible, terrible decision to leave the scene, we want people to be able to see who you are and where you've gone to and be able to identify you, because then there's going to be a knock on your door and we're going to come and have a chat with you afterwards. So it's common sense. Plus, you know what? Not only seeing in, you got to be able to see out.
For sure.
And if we can't see in, there's definite possibility your view is obstructed and you're not going to be able to see pedestrians, other cars.
And I was going to say that pedestrians and other cars is a huge thing. Not only do pedestrians and other cars have to be seen by you, but the drivers of those vehicles and the pedestrians trying to make eye contact with you to see if it's safe. What is one of the first lessons you learn? Look at the driver, make eye contact with the driver. Obviously, there are people who have issues with eye contact, and we're not telling you have to, but we're saying for your safety, making eye contact with a driver allows you to communicate non-verbally to see, do they see me? Does it look like they see me? That way they can make that decision to cross the road safely. And if they can't make eye contact, they're going to be hesitant. You're going to slow everybody's roll. Literally, everyone is going to slow down. You are creating traffic with tinted windows. That's a new one for me. I've never said those words in that particular order. The deal is that we want you to see out to be safe. And just because you say it looks good, you can see out, it's darker. It's darker, and inclement weather or atmospheric conditions like dark, snow, rain changes the ability. So people say, well, how come it's legal to wear sunglasses? But you can take sunglasses off and suddenly be okay. Now, would you get a ticket for wearing sunglasses at night?
You know what? There would be a whole bunch of... You'd have to put the whole thing together. If you were wearing sunglasses and couldn't see and then crashed into something... I think you'd be
Witness testimony says that driver A was wearing sunglasses, and listen, it's interesting. Is it legal to drive without shoes? This was one of the very first videos I did that went bananas. People were like, my mom lied to me. It is legal in Ontario to drive without shoes. It is actually, I think, safer than driving with flip-flops.
Well, till you get into a crash and have to run out of your vehicle.
Well, there is that.
Through the glass.
There is self-defense theory that says never wear shoes you can't run in. So based on that, barefoot, not so good unless you got really tough feet. But driving without shoes isn't an offense under the Highway Traffic Act. Flip-flops, however, have a tendency of slipping and sliding and potentially could get stuck underneath of pedals. And that's why I say flip-flops aren't a good thing. Many drivers have driving shoes. Many people I know who wear heels. I say people now. Trying to be politically correct. People who wear heels, because it could be anybody, take those heels off, have sneakers for driving. It's a safer way to go. High heels could also make it difficult to properly navigate and control your vehicle. But that's not illegal. You can still do it. Where in Ontario can I U-turn? We talked about this. Basically, anywhere it's safe to do so unless signed otherwise or outside of the rules, or the specific situations, which is near railway, curves, crests of grade, bridges, tunnels, viaducts. There might be a couple more. Are there any others?
Anywhere that there's no clear view.
Anywhere there's no clear view is a good one. And if there's a sign that says you can't do it, you have a 150-meter distance that you must cross before you're able to do it again. Vincent says, here's a question. Vincent says, what should you do if your vehicle is struck by a large sheet of ice on the highway and the offending driver doesn't realize that it happened?
Well, it's a collision.
It is a collision. It is damage or injury caused by the movement of another vehicle. So if they don't realize they would leave, they'd be technically fail to remain.
Right. And would they be charged with that if they didn't know? Maybe, maybe not. Would they be charged with having left the snow and ice and everything on their vehicle? Yeah, quite possibly.
And how do you, so the thing is, I imagine that you are not memorizing every license plate that you drive by. So I really do endorse, and I can't tell you a specific brand, but I really endorse having a dash camera. Not only have dash cameras come into play and, provided information when it comes to collisions and fatal collisions and hit and runs, but something like that, same deal. You want to have as much evidence that helps us find out who did it as possible. Hey, if you're new to the channel, this is Ask a Traffic Cop, and it's where you come to get your traffic and police questions answered. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a police constable with the Toronto Police Service. I'm joined by Sergeant Murray Campbell and just now Sergeant Melissa Kulik, who is also a media relations officer out of this office and my supervisor. Let's see here. Can an off-duty officer write a ticket for traffic offenses?
I'll take this one.
With a big grin.
We are police officers in the province of Ontario 24/7. We are police officers even in the city. Not only in the city we work, but everywhere.
In the province of Ontario.
In the province of Ontario. And can we? Yes, we can. Do we always? Not always. I've done it before because it was something so egregious that it needed that little extra work and effort and time put into it. But no, our ability, not a problem.
So you don't take the laser home and stand on your street corner doing speed enforcement, but there are situations, like the sergeant said, that are so egregious, they're so above and beyond what is safe and normal that we are compelled or often make the decision to take action, and that may be in the form of contacting a driver on the next day that we're at work. It doesn't have to take place then. We have 6 months to lay charges under the HTA in most cases. This is 6 months with a POT or 6 months with it's 6 months with a Part 3.
Summons.
There are ways to write charge, and depending on what the offense is, it could be longer.
Yep, absolutely.
So yes, and yes. We had a question that popped in. What was I missing here? Can you drive on 400 series highways with a G2? Absolutely, you can. A G2 can drive anywhere in Ontario. In fact, you can go interprovincially and into the United States with a G2. It is a probationary driver's license, which means you have conditions and a period of time that it remains valid until you have to take your next test. But it is still a driver's license, whereas a G1 is a learner's permit and very different. It requires supervision, and you can't go on highways. just a mention, because we didn't mention it earlier, Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Ever heard of it? That is a dedicated team of officers that work out of traffic services that enforce the Highway Traffic Act, specifically focusing on the big four. Why the big four? Those are driver behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on our roadways. They are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. So if you don't want to meet our Vision Zero Enforcement Team that does nothing but enforce, well, don't break the law, because they are out there and they're in different areas of the city every day. So how do you know where they are? How can you plan ahead? Well, you never do know when you're going to find an officer who's going to be enforcing. So, and you don't know what kind of vehicle they're in, because we have a lot of special vehicles like pickup trucks and SUVs, and just anything that is a car could be a police car, just so you know. Right? All's fair. Now, what does that mean? Where are they going to be? Do you get a heads up? If you follow us on Twitter, you'll get a notification at 7 a.m. every morning as to what area of the city our Vision Zero enforcement team will be focusing. Now, that doesn't mean that they're only going to be there. It means that they're going to be in the general area. And it doesn't mean that they're the only officers writing tickets. They augment the already good work being done by police officers in the area from those divisions. They're just helping out and adding more boots on the ground, or wheels on the road, because not everyone's walking around, to do high collision areas that are through analytics determine that.
You know what? Exactly what you said there. They're very data driven. They go to areas where they know that there's problems, where they know that there's collisions, where they know people get hurt, and they focus on those areas in an effort to try and keep people safe, to slow people down, to change driver behavior.
It's exactly that. When people say that the tickets are just to make a cash grab or control or getting a quota, it is about changing driver behavior. If we can give you a ticket, you may not do it again. If you never get a ticket and you never get caught, you're probably going to continue that behavior. So we are very much trying to change behavior for the better, to make the streets better. And I talked about Vision Zero, but I never mentioned where they are today. 52 and 55 divisions. Those are two divisions in downtown Toronto. 52 and 55. If you're in the area, you might see them. You probably don't want to see them. Okay, what is the law for eating or drinking while driving? If you're eating or drinking and it is not an alcoholic beverage or does not contain drugs, there's no offense specifically for eating and drinking. Now, if it's interfering with your ability to operate a motor vehicle safely, that would be careless driving. So it's legal until it's not legal, because if you can't do it safely, it's not a good idea.
So my foot-long submarine that I need both hands to hold on to while I'm driving?
Okay, ask them to cut your hoagie into bite-sized pieces.
There we go.
And chicken nuggets, really good for driving. Coffee, a sip here, a sip there. Things that don't take your attention. You can do things autonomously without thought. Your brain is capable, in most cases, of finding your fingers to your face. But if it's something like I've driven beside people having bowls of pasta with chopsticks or with forks, and they're using both hands and they're steering with their knees, that's going to be a careless charge. Even if you're not all over the road, I think that's a careless charge.
Absolutely.
Okay. How fast you have to be going to go to jail? Well, it depends on the speed of travel, and you just get to jail when you get there, I guess. No?
You could look it up in the Waze app. And,
Yeah, jail depends on how close you live to a jail. Listen, the deal is that if you are driving and your speed is in the realm of the average, a ticket, I suppose. Like you can do 150 and just lose your license for 30 days in your car for 14 because that falls under stunt driving. But if you're doing 150 in a 50, that might be criminal. That might be dangerous. If there's people at risk in the area, if it's a high volume, so it depends. The answer is it depends.
Yep.
A criminal charge is going to be based on the evaluation of the facts of the specific situation. Could you get a ticket for it? Oh, you get a ticket for it for going super fast. But will you be arrested criminally? It depends. I can't give you a flat answer.
There are arrestable sections within the Highway Traffic Act as well. Stunt driving is one of them.
True.
True. It is arrestable. Suspended driving is one of them. So is arrest there? Yes. Does it always get used? Not always. It depends on the situation.
Naxer says that was a terrible joke. Okay. Can we go over the speed limit in certain situations? No. Police, fire, ambulance can. Nobody else can legally.
Legally, the answer is no.
Now, do people do it? They do all the time. Could you win a prize in the form of a ticket? Yes. There is no justification, no emergency, no fire, no nothing. Now, do you have a reasonable excuse? Is a guy chasing you down the street? Maybe, but you're still going to get charged, and you still have to explain it to a court. That's ultimately it. Okay, Jake here says, a few years back, court said no to unmarked cars. Now I see them. What changed?
Which court would that be?
I'm not aware of that, of saying that there were no unmarked cars or that the courts directed no unmarked cars. And I don't know if you're in Ontario or elsewhere, but yeah, no, we have, I guess at one point, no, I'm trying to think of what.
No, I've never heard of that. In fact, we have not only unmarked cars, but we have stealth vehicles that look like an everyday normal.
Stealth vehicles I thought used to be the ones that had tone on tone. They were less visible but still considered marked. I think that's what I think that was what we called stealth. But truly unmarked, absolutely no markings. Yeah, we have those there, and they're utilized very well.
My car that I drive in the office is a lighted. It has emergency equipment in it, but you'd never know.
Okay. Have you ever gone to a call where someone's gas pedal being stuck, and apparently my glasses look great? These are my readers. So let me do my little fashion show when it comes to these are my. Ooh, you guys are not as focused. I hate having to have. I'm old. I have to have reading glasses. So these are my regular glasses, and these are my super zoom. Ooh, oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you like them. I like these more than I like my regular glasses. Okay, except that I can't see if I'm not looking at something close. Can we go? Oh, we already covered that.
Gas pedal, Sean. You didn't.
Yes. Oh, we never even talked about it. I was so busy about talking about my glasses. Anyway, can we? Have you ever gone to? I've never gone to a call with a stuck gas pedal.
I've had people claim that, and you know what? It could be a mechanical defect, and I'm obligated at that time to maybe have a mechanical examination done of your vehicle.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're involved in a big collision where you hurt somebody and that's your claim, even if it's not your claim, we're going to take your vehicle and we're going to subject it to a mechanical examination that includes downloading the vehicle parameters that are stored within the what they call the black box of your vehicle. All new vehicles have it. So we'll know what the percentage of your braking is. We'll know what the percentage of your gas pedal is. We'll know what is happening right before the collision.
And there are ways to deal with what if your vehicle is a runaway train type thing. You can shift into neutral, turn off your engine. You can do things to decelerate your car. You can't just use the excuse of, well, it did what it wanted to do.
Yep. To go one step before that, like after that as well, we do in certain circumstances have the ability to see if you're on your phone or you're texting at the
moment. Yes, there are. There are things, production things.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Judicial orders so we can get
the story is that excuses are great, but we actually have a way of confirming them. That's the thing. Can we drink alcohol-free beer while driving? I've been asked the question. The deal is if it truly is alcohol-free, then yes. But if it contains some alcohol, because usually at 0.05, right, there is alcohol. It's an alcoholic beverage. Can you drink it in the car?
So under the Liquor License Act of Ontario, they're not considered an alcoholic beverage because they're under the threshold that has been created by the Liquor License Act.
Well, there you go. So that would say yes.
That would say yes.
I don't know why you'd want to. I also don't know why you'd want to drink alcohol-free beer. I don't know anybody who drinks beer for the taste. Maybe does it taste good? Beer doesn't taste good.
I have no comment.
Okay. What is this? Okay, so let's see here. Can you drive on the 400 Series highway with a G2 license? Yes, you can. See, you can tell that I'm not a drinker when I say, why would you drink beer for the taste? They went with the same. What is this? Oh, C-Page is off to work. Thank you, Sean. Be safe. Great show. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much, C-Page. C-Page is involved with our French liaison office. She works in the security industry, but teams up with officers who are in the French-speaking community to help out, which is really cool. Oh, nobody appeared? Really? Oh, many people don't agree with my beer discussion. Apparently, people like beer more than I do. I'm not a beer person. Is the 100-kilometer? Let's go here. Is the 100-kilometer an hour to 118-kilometer an hour grace zone a thing? There's no grace zone. If you are over the 100-kilometer an hour mark, legally, technically, you can get a ticket. Now, do some officers say they won't write a ticket until you hit 15, 16, 17 over? Every officer is different. I may write for one speed and somebody else may write for another, and one day you'll get that ticket for doing 118 and the next day you don't. There's no way to predict when you're going to get pulled over. The truth is, if you don't want to be pulled over, if you don't want to be in the realm of risk, don't speed.
There is a fine for 1 kilometer over the speed limit.
It's
There actually is a fine.
Is it $2.50? Is it something like ridiculously
I'm not sure
low?
what it is, but
But here's the funny thing. People say, I can drive 15 over because there's no points, and points are what people matter, and that's what's going to affect. No. Insurance companies don't care how fast you're going over the speed limit. The fact is you're going over the speed limit. I don't know what I just said there. A speed limit, and you will change your rating for them for number of charges that are speed related or moving violation related.
points only accumulate so the Ministry of Transportation can actually assess you and see if you should have a driver's license or not, or you should continue having a driver's license. Insurance companies, not so much. Any moving violation, it will definitely affect you.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's 1, 10, 100. It is a ticket, and obviously faster stunt is a bigger issue, and they will look at the individual charge, but a ticket is a ticket is a ticket when it comes to moving violations and insurance companies. So want to save money? Don't get tickets. Do you know of anyone getting a ticket for 1 over? I honestly don't. And I don't imagine that there'd be many officers who would write a 1 kilometer and over ticket, but you just need to know that you're eligible, not that we're out there doing it.
Yeah. No, I don't know of that.
I've never heard, because usually we say, you know what, it could be a speedometer issue. Maybe yours is calibrated differently. A speedometer is not accurate all the way through the spectrum. There's areas or sweet spots where it's more accurate than not. Maybe digital is a little different, but the old days it used to be different across the spectrum, and they usually give people 3 kilometers ish range.
Unfortunately, Sean, saying your speedometer was incorrect.
Well, we can find out.
That is not an excuse.
True.
It's the actual true velocity of your vehicle. No matter what you think it's going, we have the ability to check the true velocity of the vehicle and tell you what your speed is.
It's a very good point. So yes, if you are going over 5 kilometers and your speedometer says it's accurate, well, you may have changed the size of your tires. You may have done a number of things, and it may not be accurate. You may not be intending to break the law because your speedometer says one thing and you're going based on that. But if you're actually speeding, regardless of what your speedometer says, you're speeding. So, but again, most officers will have a threshold to account for minor differences, because we're not just trying to jam you. We're not trying to make your life difficult. We're trying to keep people safe. So we will generally target people who are going just a little bit faster than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where in Toronto is your office? We are located right in the heart of. Are we in the heart of the city, or are we beside the heart of the city?
No,
We're adjacent to the heart of the city?
Yeah, we're right down there.
We're near the exhibition grounds on a street called Hannah, and it's the home of traffic services. You can find us online. If you go to our website, the addresses of every division are listed and where we are located. But we are at Toronto Police Traffic Services, which is downtown near the exhibition. Okay. We have a question that came in. Brent Perry. How long... Okay, the Q says the gut of the city. There we go. So the question is, how long do tickets last on your insurance record? So insurance records are insurance record business. That's nothing to do with us or the ministry. What happens is your record, your conviction will stay on your MTO driver's record in the short version, available for 3 years from date of conviction. After that, it comes off. It stays on your long term. If you got a driver's abstract, it's your entire history. But in terms of your conviction, it stays on for 3 years. Now, your points, those accumulate and stay on for 2 years from the date of the offense. Okay, what do we got here? We got Kayla Draconis says, Lucky Mine reads a couple of kilometers lower, 2 in summer, 3 in winter, according to Waze and speed signs. Yeah, using your GPS to confirm your speedo is a good checksum, but it could also be not perfect. Okay. Let's see here. What if you get pulled over during a road test? That would be bad, and I imagine it would end your chances of getting your license on that test. But that's just me being, just guessing. Let's see here. Oh, they heard your giggle. Okay. What is the problem with low-profile tires? They ride like wood. They're not a comfy ride. Is there a problem with them? No, you can have low-profile tires. I don't think there's any safety concern. Obviously, they're not good for the winter. They're better for a summer-ish thing. But generally, sports tires can be low-profile, and generally, winter tires have a smaller inner rim, making it a cushier ride. But there's no legal issue that I'm aware of with low profile. Now, that's not to say you can stretch a tire. If you have a tire that's purchased and it's not the right size for the rim, and you're stretching it and creating this weird blip or what's it called? There's a term for it that doesn't come to mind right now. That is illegal. That is unsafe. That will have us taking your license plates away. But you can have low profile. In fact, most sports cars these days come with them, even luxury cars. Okay. Lots of convoy questions. Nothing there for us to talk about. What is the error threshold for speedometers? It's really irrelevant. I don't know what the speedometer threshold is. The truth is that we measure the velocity of your vehicle using our measurement tool. That's what matters. If you have an error with your speedo, that is up to you and your mechanic. It doesn't absolve you from the charge. Now, truth be told, we will generally, like for instance, many of my colleagues, if we're charging you a stunt where you have to be over a certain threshold, we'll usually give you a couple of kilometers grace before taking your car because we want to accommodate any issue. Not so much with your speedometer, but for the plus minus of a measurement tool. Okay. How can you deem that unsafe? I don't know what we're talking about. Deem what unsafe? It's a follow-up to something we were talking about, but I didn't see it in order. So, Riley, what are you asking about for what do we deem unsafe? Let's see here. Do RCMP do road enforcement in Ontario? No, they don't. There might be certain circumstances where they can get into a role under special situations, but I've never seen it. I've seen them do some ride programs, but that's criminal, but not enforcement. Apparently, RCMP do enforcement in certain areas, and having spoken to my friend who is in Alberta, they might need to get specially deputized or approved. They don't generally have road authority in Ontario or in Quebec. Ashton Stein says, "Hello, officer." When do we get so formal, Ashton? Okay, we got some supporters here. Does criminal clearance give driving record too? No, driving record is nothing to do with criminal record. If you're getting the Ministry of Transportation is where you get that. What happens if you don't show up in court? Well, it depends on what the court is. If it's criminal court and you could have a, they can find you. Well, okay, let's talk about traffic court. You can simply be found guilty in your absence. They may decide to simply find you guilty because you didn't show up. If it's a serious charge, they might put it over and give you another chance. They might subpoena you. They might have a trial in your absence where they will present all the evidence because it's more serious. They want to go through the motions and not simply find you guilty. And they will have a trial in your absence, and the officer will give evidence and all that jazz, and then you'll be found guilty. But chances are, if you don't show up, you're going to be found guilty. If it's a situation of criminal, yeah, that's really bad stuff. That's when they start sending officers looking for you. You're going to get a warrant. Okay. How do you know if a vehicle is unsafe? Depends on the reason for its not being safe. So if it's based on suspension and lowering, we'll look at that. If there's any body rub or frame rub with your tire because you lowered it, or you have oversized tires, or we'll go through all the things that we're looking for, why we pulled you over. And anything could make it unsafe. Tinted windows could make it unsafe. Lowering, what's it called? The camber of tires could, changing it, the way that the tires are mounted. There could be a gazillion ways of being unsafe. Basically, look at the light vehicle inspection guide. If you're violating any of those things, you could be unsafe. Let's see here. Can you discuss camber? Legal limits and contact patch. Camber is just minor camber. Is going to be one thing. If you're riding on a sidewall, if your tire's on a 45 or a 30, these are all things that we'd be looking at individually. But you can't ride on the sidewall. You can't compress and put pressure on one bead over another. It's unsafe. Minor for track purposes, people do camber, but when it's being done for aesthetics, at over the top. Also, if you are if you on a cambered vehicle, if you do a lock-to-lock turns and there's any contact with body or frame, it's automatically unsafe. Is it? Oh, 1 second. What just happened here? No, I don't want to do that. What is going on here? Why can't I get rid of my keyboard? Go away. Yeah, let me see if I can go back up. Apparently, instead of selecting Mamba's question, there, I had to send the letter G. No, did I lose? I think I lost Mamba's thing. Okay, hello, Sean. Yes, there we have the less official What's the policies on chrome tint? Chrome tint being reflective tint. Reflective tint is illegal, at least on the windows in the front of the vehicle. Driver's windshield or windows directly left and right of the driver can't have reflective or tint that is too dark. But all reflective is considered too dark. You can't obscure the interior of a vehicle. What's this? Oh, yes. Now I understand. Okay. VW said they allow 10% speedo threshold. No kidding. That doesn't sound very good. Hopefully it's 10% below. But in any case, if you're doing 110 and your speedometer says it's 100, you're still doing 110. So there's no, your speedometer doesn't create a defense. Okay. This is a really good question. We're starting to see time. Got to start thinking about shutting it down. But we're not shutting it down yet. We'll go for an extra couple minutes. When does the 4 years experience start for being able to supervise a G1? That is the question. The deal is, as a G-class driver or as a G2 class driver, that's when your clock starts, and it includes all time, save and except for any suspension. So if you were suspended for 2 years, just making up a number, and you got your G2, then you had a suspension for 2 years, then you got your G, and now you had 2 years as a G, that's 4 years. Well, 2 years of your G2 would not count. Effectively, it would be 4 years. So yeah, clock starts, doesn't include any suspensions. That is that. If you don't already follow us, please do. We do this every day, and we'd love to have you join us. But we'd also love for you to fill out a quick survey. So let me put this survey. Get all. Oh, I don't want Siri. Here we go. That's the survey link. And if you would be so kind as to screen grab that or check out our Twitter, you can get me or you can get us at Traffic Services on Twitter. And I'm going to put up a link to this just after the show. This will take you to a quick survey. It will allow you to tell us what you think. Tell us if we're doing a good job, bad job, how you change it, how you make it better. What can we provide to you to make this a better experience? That's what we want to know. And we want to know where basically you live in terms of greater area. Are you in Toronto, out of Toronto, but in the GTA, outside of the GTA? Are you in Russia? We had someone from Russia yesterday. So great stuff. Great stuff. Have you ever pulled someone over outside of Toronto? Yes, I have. I actually didn't even realize I was outside of Toronto. I just crossed a border into a neighboring division. I pulled someone over. Have I pulled someone over beyond that? I'm not generally outside of Toronto when I'm on duty. Is not having a front bumper cover on my car bad? Well, not having a front bumper would make you unsafe. Bumpers and proper functioning bumpers are part of safety, especially when dealing with potentially colliding with a pedestrian, keeping them safe and colliding with other vehicles. So yeah, having no front bumper is a problem. Having no front bumper cover, do you mean like all the foam is there, but the plastic aesthetic cover is off? It depends. Question coming in from chat. Thank you, Q. Either front or rear plate falls off. What's the proper way to display till fixed? Well, the rear plate has to be affixed and illuminated. There's no option for that. There's no wait until fixed. You have to get it to drive. So your next order of business would be getting it fixed like now, whether it be the next day or there's no opportunity for, when the part comes in a month, you have to get it fixed right away, or you can get ticketed for not properly displaying your two plates. If the front one falls off, same thing. Zip tie it to the front grille, screw it into your bumper, do something, but you can't just drive around without it. And hopefully you didn't lose it. If you lost it, just go to the ministry and get another one, because if screws come loose, well, there you go. Do police escorts for medical emergencies exist? Yes and no. Not to a civilian driver. We will not escort you in your car carrying somebody. We will escort an ambulance to get them there even faster. It's called an emergency run, where we will shut down every street on the path that they're going to their hospital for a life-threatening injury that is considered higher concern than any other injury. So this person is going to need to get to the hospital or they're going to die. Yeah, we're going to shut down every road on the way there. In fact, I was in an emergency run when I had my collision. I had a motorcycle collision on duty, and they didn't know if I was going to make it. So they shut down every road on the way to Sunnybrook from my collision scene, and they got me there. We were flying. I mean, we were flying. That prevents them from having to slow down at any point and deal with any traffic. They clear every intersection. It is really amazing when we were trying to get, I got all choked up just talking about it, little kids, or heart transplants, or organ movements. Like we do all sorts of stuff, and we move heaven and earth to save kids and people through this stuff. We do everything we can, and it's dangerous, and we do the best we can to to save lives. It really is. I'm so happy to have been involved with getting people organs. That it's life-saving things. Yeah. Okay. Does the department have any? I'm really getting really kids, man. Kills me. It's just okay. Does the department have any sports cars? No, we had a couple of Camaros years and years ago. They got written off. Not a good idea. We had some what is it, ZR1, what's it called? The ZR, the Corvette engines in Camaros, and I think we have like the hood of one that's still hanging somewhere. Are those clear round plate covers illegal? Round plate covers? You can't have any plate cover. You can't obstruct a plate in any way, even with a clear one. Okay. Are missing car body parts bad? Evan, you asked about the bumper. Now we're talking about other body parts. Yeah, you can't drive without body parts. If you have exposed tires, it's against the law. They create an unsafe thing. You can get charged with unsafe, depending on the situation and which body part on your vehicle we're talking about. Can a lifetime driving ban be lifted? If so, how? I'm going to say no. I think lifetime is like. I mean, you can appeal the courts for anything. I don't know if there's a mechanism though. They're pretty serious when they say lifetime. It means lifetime. Is driving a retired cop car illegal? As long as it doesn't say police. If you're not trying to put yourself out there as a police officer, you can have a car that used to be owned by a police service. That's not against the law. Just don't sticker it up. Let's see. Go. Can we go over Canadian traffic signs? They're provincial signs. They're different everywhere, but they're generally, you know what, go over the best thing to do, because I can't show you all the traffic signs. Mind you, I do have some in the background. If you go to the Ministry of Transportation, you can look at their online driver's handbook. It'll explain all of them right there. That's the best place to go. Apparently I need to move my phone away from that wire. And we're wrapping up. We've got about 11 minutes over, so we're going to wrap this up. If you don't already follow us, please do. We'll be back tomorrow for Friday, the end of the week. It's both happy and sad, because I don't do lives on the weekend. I'll miss you all. I like doing this. What is this? Naxer says, oh, okay. The question is there a give or take amount on your LiDAR radar if they are calibrated to read speed to perfection? They are very accurate. I have to look it up again, but I haven't been using them recently. I believe that it is 1 or 2 kilometers below it, one or two, not beyond that. I'd have to look up the manual to confirm. But fortunately, we have a radar coordinator who sits down the hall, so I can just ask. But I believe it's 1 or 2. 2 seems to be the number that sticks out to me, but yeah. But when we take that into consideration, we generally don't charge someone until they're at 2 kilometers. Like I was saying earlier, if we're going to take your vehicle for stunt, instead of doing it right at 150, we'll have 152, let's say, generally speaking. Yeah. Okay. Vincent, what did you say? If your headlight burns out, are you supposed to drive with your high beams on until you get it fixed, nighttime driving? No, you should not be improperly using your high beams. You should drive with your headlight burnt out. If both headlights are burnt out, you should not be driving. You should pull over, get towed, technically. High beams are unsafe for other road users, so you should not be driving around with them. But you should, and very rarely should you ever have both of your headlights go out at the same time. It means in most cases you'll be driving around one headlight for so long that they've now both burnt out. I would suggest keeping a spare bulb in your vehicle so you can make a change at the side of the road or a gas station. Gas stations sell bulbs, and generally you don't need tools to get at them. So it's a major safety thing. Get off the road, get it fixed, and get back on the road if you can. But don't drive around for an extended period of time. You can be charged for not having 2 headlights, and you can be charged for driving with your high beams on. So both are a thing. Okay. With that, I thank you again for spending time with us. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for Friday. And Q, any words from you? You've been pretty quiet this show. You're still being quiet.
You guys got it.
Okay, just for you. We are out. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow. That's it. I should actually press end now.
You're good.